Across our universe, a special significance is often bestowed upon the third planet from a star. Earth, Kepler 186, and Centauri Plan to name a few. In the Pathfinder universe, another third planet exists, the world of Golarion.
Golarion is a striking blue and green jewel against the backdrop of the void. Clouds of white and grey dance across its atmosphere, forming ever-changing patterns over the continents. Vibrant blue oceans reflect the golden sunlight, while its lush green landmasses are marked by vast forests, rolling hills, and towering mountain ranges.
Golarion is a world of contrast and complexity, from ancient ruins that hold undead civilizations to vibrant, multicultural cities of the living. Golarion is a place of magic and mysteries, where legends come to life, and a captivating narrative of cultures, ancestries, and histories weave an incredible tapestry.
Join us in the heart of the Pathfinder universe, a hub of magic and myth, where ancient gods and fabled creatures shape its destiny. Join us for tales of long-lost treasures, nefarious villains, and heroic alliances that will shape the fate of the world and become known as the Wayfinder Legends.
In the world of Golarion, in the dangerous and wondrous land of Aveston, stretching from the sunny shores of the inner sea on its southern coast to the glacier-covered crown of the world in the north, it is a land filled with elves, goblins, and all manner of strange and magical beings. For the last 1,000 years, southern Aveston has been dominated by the Chalaxian Empire, a land known for its culture and wealth, its power and strength. But over 100 years ago, the House of Thrune made a literal pact with the dark beings of the lower planes to secure their control of the empire. And like all deals with the devil, it has cost them more than it has given. Its wealth has led to corruption. Its culture has fallen to decadence. Its strength perverted into oppression. The empire's inability to provide a coherent response to even ragged bands of goblins raiding its frontier made it clear that the empire had become a shadow of what it once was. Though the nobles continued to play games of Chalaxian politics, since the war, the people of the outer provinces have begun ignoring the empire's rule, but never openly defying it, of course, as everyone still fears the might of Chalaxia's dreaded Hell Knights. We begin in the frontier province of Isger, near where the Goblin Blood Wars began 20 years before, in the small town of Breachill, a town that is making its own path, finding its own way into the future, a path that will require heroes. And until those heroes show up, you guys will have to do. Fawin, you and your traveling companions, Boddy and Plame, have just traveled through the woods to the town of Breachill because you've heard that they have something known as the Call of Heroes, where they put out a call for adventurers to perform mighty deeds. Inara, you are also in the area. You have come here because, well, you're short on coin and, hey, a job's a job, right? You are currently in the streets of Breachill. You're told that the Call of Heroes will happen at the town council house in the center of the city at noon. You're wandering the streets. Is there anything your characters want to take care of before going to the town council?
Inara would like to work up a little courage, liquid courage, and visit the closest bar very early in the morning.
All right. There is a bar known as the Wizard's Grace, I believe, where a lot of adventurers gather before the call.
I will gather there.
Yeah. So you're in there, spending your last few coins, getting fueled up for the adventure. And in comes stumbling three very suspicious-looking characters.
Boddy is wearing a loose leather jacket over his chainmail and traveling clothes, keeping his head down and his hood up. You can see his grayish-blue skin and red eyes if you look closely, but he's not trying to show them to anybody. He's not sure about this place, and he's simply following this outlandish goblin and stuck-up half-elf because he's looking for a way to thief has passed behind, and these two seem to be taking the path that he could follow.
All right, behind him is...
Fawin is a half-elf, Chilaxian features of the angular cheeks and slender lips. She carries these strong features with a sense of femininity. She has silken, silvery white hair and vibrantly purple eyes, which give away her elven heritage, even with her hood pulled up. That hood is a lightweight, fashionable, almost kind of velvet-like cloak that has some decorative silver trim along the hem and the cowl. She pauses for a moment, not really wanting to continue to follow these two characters that she's with, but they have attached themselves to her as they've traveled down the road. So with a bit of a sigh, she steps on through the doorway into this tavern.
And following after is...
You see a small, maybe medium-sized goblin. He is dressed fairly normally. He has a very, very loud cloak. Multiple colors. Just kind of like a patchwork. As he walks in, he looks over at Fawin and says,
See, I told you, it's almost time. It's awesome. This is super. We are going to be heroes. I told you.
Fawin, one hand kind of comes up to her cheek as an exasperation, and she just kind of nods and says, That's nice, Goblin. Looks around to see who else is in this bar. Are there like some humans, some half-elves, someone?
There's a few commoners who sort of glance your way and then look back, which you will note is pretty unusual for the Isgari. Usually the Isgari have more of an attitude of, how can I summarize their attitude? It's my turn up. You know, look at turn up. My eyes away from turn up. Go. Go. Right, that's the general attitude of the Isgari. This town is a little different, though. They sort of look up, they take in the Goblin, they take in the Hobgoblin. And then they kind of go back to staring at Fawin. But no one seems to have moved away from you. But the person who stands out, though, in armor with a big sword, with a serpent etched into the blade of this very high-quality broadsword you met.
Inara looks over her shoulder to see a very rowdy, not rowdy, but she definitely takes into account the loud goblin that just walked in. And she looks over her shoulder, picks up her sword, and walks over to this interesting group. You see a pretty tall woman. She's got tannish skin, very short copper brown hair that kind of flows to the side of her face. A just arm full of tattoos with a similar serpent pattern on the right arm. And she's very menacing. Just the stare that she gives you guys as you walk in. Oh, more heroes coming, I see. You look a little too pretty to be here. She looks at Fawin. And you two look a little too short to be here.
I'm not really with them. They just followed me.
Well, you're with them, aren't you?
Well, not really. They just kind of followed me. You know how it is sometimes when people just follow you and...
Do you need help? Are you okay?
No, I'm fine. They've been actually very surprisingly civilized, she says in a whisper. But, you never know when. But I'm just really glad to see someone else. Someone, more like me. It's nice to see you. My name's Fawin of House Fell. And she kind of stops halfway through that introduction that she might normally give, realizing that maybe giving away more of her house info and name might not be such a good idea. So she says, of house far away from here.
Oh, yeah. I know that house. I'm pretty sure I met a person that was in the far away from here.
When Boddy hears Fawin say, they were surprisingly civilized, his eyes narrow and his ear perks up a little bit. He just shakes his head, thinking typical.
There's a clatter of beads, because you realize the door, like many Isgari establishments, they just have beaded curtains separating some of the employees' area from the main part. There's a clatter of beads, and broad-shouldered, bald-headed man comes out with a big mustache, which he really enjoys twisting into a nice, pretty handlebar. So, what can I help you for?
Get these guys some beers. They're gonna need it.
Yes.
And I'm sure you want a wine or something fancy.
Yes, actually, yes. Do you have any wine?
We have beer.
It's the same thing. Just tastes better.
Okay.
You'll get the beer.
Where are you from, dear?
Yeah, we don't need to worry about that. Far away from here.
Oh, I understand completely. And she said, gives her a warm smile.
He comes back with 4 glasses and some kind of clear liquid he pours into them. He's like beer. The smell is very much assaulting Fawin's delicate elven senses. Maybe kind of burning a couple of nose hairs. Plame.
So Plame picks up the glass and sniffs it. And, downs it.
Plame is happy. Plame will go up
Toward the fireplace, he'll pull out 4, maybe even 5 little round balls and start juggling and singing.
Give me a performance check.
The first roll.
First roll of the game.
22.
Hal, you want to give us a sample of your song?
Sure.
in a cozy bar on a Friday night. The mood is just right, the feeling's light. A cold brew in my hand, the foam so clear. It's time to celebrate with friends so dear. Beer, oh beer, you bring us cheer. You wash away our troubles and our fear. From lagers to ale, you're always here. Beer, oh beer, you're the one we hold dear.
As Plame is singing that song, Boddy takes his beer and kind of slides it toward Inara.
No, it's okay. You look like you need it. You look like you need it.
Looks at it with a sour look on his face and just looks away. And
Thank
just
you.
watches the crowd, watches Plame, shakes his head, and keeps an eye on Fawin.
Interesting fellow you got there.
Fawin says in response to Inara, I didn't know he could do that.
The proprietor kind of looks him over and goes, "It's so good, I not throw you out." And he gives you another glass of that same clear liquid.
Ah, very nice.
You get a nice, warm feeling down the back of your neck. Yeah, it's good.
Fawin's been looking around at the crowd, watching them partake in the song, the uproar of applause and stuff for it, and just kind of tilts her head a little bit and then gently takes one small sip of this clear stuff.
How familiar is she with, say, fermented potato?
Probably not much. I mean, around House Feldarin there, back home, it would have been wine for sure.
This is not wine. No. This is something you use for stripping the paint off of wood.
Just because I like dice. Natural 6.
Fawin says,
Tastes good, doesn't it? First time?
She looks at Inara. What is that?
The nectar of the gods.
Which one?
What of them? I don't know. I don't know the gods around here, man.
I don't think I'll have another one of those.
You're ready for the call now. Trust me.
Whew. Well, have you heard anything about the call of heroes?
I heard they were looking for heroes.
Yeah.
And I heard they were calling them.
You have a partner or anything? Team?
No, I'm just here. Why are you here?
Well, I'm here for the same reason.
But why?
Plame pipes up and says,
She's here because she is going to be a hero. I seen it.
Goblin.
Oh, yeah. You look like the hero type for sure.
Yeah, so, we'll be fine, so, thank you. And she kind of does the half turn away from Inara to look out across the room. There is no one here that Fawin wants to hang out with. Like,
Boddy starts looking around the room, checking all the faces, looking for anyone that might be familiar. As he scans the room, he sees no hobgoblins, which makes him happy. Correct? Yeah, and then he just looks at all the humans and just takes account of all of them. What does he see as far as like the racial mix-up? Like, do we have like orcs, humans, halflings? What's going on there?
It's mostly humans, but you do see a few dwarves, some gnomes, maybe an elf, or you may have saw a goblin coming into town. You're not sure, like around a corner or something. But there's not a lot of them, if there's any here. But the fact that the humans seem kind of nonchalant with Plame suggests that they clearly are familiar with.
As Boddy's looking around the room, does he see any harsh looks in his direction? Hobgoblins and Isger don't have the best reputation.
I wouldn't say harsh, but there are definitely people who are keeping an eye.
Fawin goes over to the barkeep and says, so as you surmised, we're here for the Call of Heroes. That's taking place at the city council?
Yeah, at noon.
At noon?
Noon.
Very good. Did Fawin pay attention to what time it might be now?
It's getting very close to noon.
How far is that from here?
Is over the creek,
Okay.
past fountain, big building, you'll find.
Okay, very good. Very good. And she turns around and almost trips over Plame.
Let's go, it's almost time.
Boddy just follows those two. Looks at Inara.
As you step into the street, you do see some people heading that direction. And as you get up to leave, the few farmers and artisans who are in the tavern, they get up, they watch you leave, then you see them walk out and lean out the door and watch you go down the street. They seem very interested, but they're keeping their distance. So you wind your way through Breachill. It's a town. It's for medieval style town. It's fairly nice sized. I mean, there's probably a few thousand people here. It's mostly wooden buildings, 1 story, maybe 2 stories tall at the highest. Simple buildings. You do notice that all the buildings that are like brightly colored with the twining lines and geometric patterns. All the buildings seem to have them. It seems it's kind of an Isgari thing. In the same way, you do see a lot of the women have beaded their jackets with little glass beads, which again is something the Isgari are known for producing. It's a colorful town, and you don't see too many other adventuring folk like yourself. They seem to be mostly artisans, shopkeepers, but everyone is moving down through town. There seems to be like a little trickle of people, and they're all kind of murmuring among themselves and pointing that direction. And especially they look at you and they point you that direction. They seem interested to see what you're going to do.
When you say you, do you mean like the whole party or just like the goblin and the hobgoblin? Or the weird half-elf?
No, the group of people who are standing around in armor and weapon.
Oh, so the group of people that are coming for the Call of Heroes.
Yes.
How many of those people do we see?
Besides yourselves, you see maybe a couple others. Yeah, it seems to be pretty small today. So you come down through the town. You come to a stone bridge that goes over Breach Creek. On the far side is a large circle, monument circle they call it. It's got like a big fountain in the middle, and there appears to be like some little statues around the edge, probably of different like town founders or something. In the middle of the fountain is a tall statue of a wizard, wise and kindly, leaning on a staff, pointing out to the distance.
Could Fawin do a recall knowledge on that? Maybe using her academic lore?
Of course, go for it.
That is a modified 16.
That's gonna do it. That is Lamond Breachton. He is sort of the town's patron, if you will. Apparently, when the town was founded, the founders, they nearly died out here in the wilderness when they came out here to form this town, and the wizard Lamond Breachton saved them. And because of that, this town is actually welcoming to adventurers, unlike other Isgari towns. Breachill was originally known as Breachton Hill. It's just been shortened to Breachill over the years.
Fawin takes a moment and pauses, and if anyone pauses there with them, she shares that information a little bit in a very academic, tour guide-y kind of way. Oh, that's Lamon Breachton, the traveling wizard that saved the survivors. Yada, yada, yada.
Yes. Now, gathered around the fountain is just a group of the common folk, and it's got kind of a carnival atmosphere to it. People are joking and laughing, and there's little kids running around and playing. There's a few people trying to hawk snacks. You see some of the kids run up to you guys, and they seem very interested in Inara. They want to see your sword. They want to know if you've killed anything with it. Did you fight a bugbear?
Hi, sweetie. I've killed many things. You cannot touch the sword, but it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. There's other kids who running around, and there's someone tugging at your cloak.
Boddy kind of like pulls away from this strange kid.
That's a little 5-year-old. Look. Are you a bugbear?
I'm no bugbear.
What kind of bear are you? He's just staring at you.
Pulls his cloak out of his hand. Go on with you.
Runs off. He seems to have really enjoyed himself.
Boddy kind of like looks sideways and looks at the rest of the party. He's hoping they didn't see that interaction. You can see his shoulders kind of relax a little bit. He's surprised at that kind of interaction. He didn't expect that from... There's a human child, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have that kind of interaction with humans very often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do see a couple of adults who are watching you warily, but no one's like stepping in to intervene. So, in Plame, you catch this. You see another green-skinned creature like yourself. You guys, because on the other side of the fountain is a big 2-story wooden building, the finest wooden building in town. It's the city halls. It's got big double doors there that currently are closed with a couple guards standing out front. And in front of them is another goblin, female goblin in robes. And she seems to be pacing kind of anxiously back and forth, mumbling to herself.
Plame can understand. It's exciting.
Other than that, everyone else in the crowd seems to be, like I said, mostly humans. There's maybe some gnomes and dwarves. Maybe an elf in there, but generally it's a human town.
I suppose Fawin just patiently waits. She understands hierarchy and movements of government a little bit, so she just patiently waits, watches the interaction that the others are having with some folks.
Inara is still talking to the children, and she's gotten into this whole story about murdering groups of bandits and the blood.
And they're all just like...
You ever stabbed a man in the chest so much that he shits himself?
Upon hearing that, Boddy's eyes kind of widen. He's surprised. When he looks at Inara, what does he see? Like, what is she wearing?
Just, a little bit of armor in the spots that need to have armor.
What is her heritage?
She is human, but specifically a Kellid human, which is a little bit of a different race of humans.
Yeah, the Kellids are kind of, they're a little bit on the barbarous side. If I was going to give them a real world equivalent, they're kind of like, they've got some Celtic influences, but they're also kind of like the old Conan Cimmerian types. And so she's probably dressed in like leather and simple wool. And
yeah, pretty much like the amount of armor that you would need to be safe, but not too much.
Boddy steps over to Inara and looks at her sword and says, "You any good with that thing?"
Oh yeah. You wanna hold it? No, you can't hold it.
Boddy looks at the sword and kind of dismissively looks at it, and his ears kind of tilt sideways, and he says, "No, it's not my style. But if you are as good with that thing as you say, I'll be watching on the battlefield to help you out."
I like your accent.
Thanks.
you get another tug on your cloak. I want to be her when I grow up. It's that same little kid.
He came back.
We have an animal companion.
Try to pull some leg hair off.
Good luck. Not much hair in a book. Well, I'm sorry, on a hobgoblin.
Fawin kind of puts her chin in the palm of her hand with her fingers over one half of her lips or whatever, knowing this is how terrible misinformation and stories start, right? That the hobgoblin is a bugbear, and she inwardly sighs heavily for the education of the children.
Also, Inara genuinely believes that you're a bugbear.
Great.
Because she has no idea what a hobgoblin looks like.
Even though she's killed some, she thinks that?
It gets a little mixed up after drinking a while.
I didn't ask for a CV. I just stab them,
I think the body count increases with the number of beers she has.
It was 30-1. Blood.
Look. I mean 40.
So, it's like I said, it's mostly some human farmers, some artisans from the town, some very annoying children. You do notice, like I said, there was one female goblin who's right in front of the doors, pacing back and forth, mumbling to herself. She is dressed in white robes with a necklace that is a big silver butterfly and a little hat.
What's that hat all about?
I don't know, do you ask?
I mean, the goblin has a little bit about goblins.
The goblin's wearing a big blue, lopsided hat. Does this look like goblin garb that he would recognize?
One, it's a marker of status in goblin society. Like I said, they like to stick things on their heads to stand out, be a little taller than the other guy. It's something ceremonial. You would guess probably some type of representative, ambassador, that type of thing. It's marking her as an important person that speaks for others.
Some important goblin. She looks friendly, and she's part of the town.
Yeah, well, she's here in the town. She's pacing around.
Does she seem to be one of the adventurers, or she's a town folk?
She seems to be. She's not wearing any weapons, so she's probably just a townie. You would wager.
Boddy walks over to Plame and Fawin and says, "Oi, this goblin here. She looks like to be of import in the town. These humans, they seem to be accepting of goblin kind. That's interesting. I'm not one for talking too much, but maybe one of you could find out if there's a place for us here."
Plame seems to have wandered off. He's over by the children.
He's over there.
He is got a large copper piece, and he's flipping between his fingers and then making it disappear, and then it reappears, and then it appears behind some of the children's ears. He's basically just, having the time of his life playing with the kids.
You have one gnome kid who is digging in the other kid's ears now because he wants silver. So now he's chasing that one poor kid in circles.
Maybe one of you could find out.
Why don't you go, Boddy?
Ain't you some important socialite?
I don't know about important, but I mean, she's Inira and I'm
He looks at her and says, "Getting on my nerves is what you is."
She sees this look.
all right.
So seeing that, Inara's off telling stories, Plame's off doing entertainment work, she feels the pressure of Boddy's gaze. Fawin walks over to the goblin.
Excuse me. What? You seem nervous.
Nervous.
Are you waiting on the doors to open?
What? Yes, I am. Are you one of the heroes?
Perhaps. Yes, I'm here. I'm here to see if I can help.
Oh, excellent. I'm guessing a sorceress?
Well, let's just... I have some talent, yes.
And you're with the others. She kind of points to Inara over there.
Fawin makes a point to specifically point out the other two adventurers that we saw that were wandering with us. So,
yeah, there are several of us here.
Yes, and the handsome fellow, the entertaining children.
And she looks around for who in the world that possibly could be.
Must be Boddy, right?
Bye-bye. Plame's got a girlfriend.
I'm trying to introduce myself. I am Warbo. I am Boddy the Human Skull, an ambassador from the Bumblebrasher Goblins up on Hell Knight Hill.
A Goblin tribe?
Yes.
Nearby?
Yes, Hell Knight Hill. Oh, it is my great honor. I get to serve my fellow citizens here in Breachill at the town's official representative to the Goblin tribe. I communicate with the Bumblebrashers. They communicate with me. Whatever interests them.
Fawin realizes Boddy was right about the hat and is like, oh, yes, so you're not part of the city council or anything.
No. I speak on behalf of them to represent my people's interests in the city council. That's why you must forgive me. I'm a bit distracted. Things have been going on.
Well, I'm sure that the city council will be happy to help you out with that when the time comes.
Oh, we will be needing heroes.
I'm sure you will. Fawin's thinking to herself, there's got to be a different job. That'll be great. We'll just all wait together and then hear your needs from the whole council. And she looks around to see if there's anybody that might be on the council nearby.
Somebody. And anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. And Emily's lost. Because we're old.
With spicy hazel music.
And she's kind of staring up at you, kind of chewing on one long ragged nail. She's staring up at you with those big, mossy, kind of glassy eyes the goblins have.
Yeah, Fawin is just... She realizes, what would my mother want me to do? How would she want me to handle this situation? Natural 20.
Nice.
We'll do a modified 26 for diplomacy. And so she kneels down and says,
Tell me, Ambassador Goblin, what your situation is.
Well, I'm certain something foul has befallen my Bumblebrashers. The leader, Helba, she would not miss our meetings. You see, every week we meet outside of town, and she informs me what's going on with the goblins, and I tell her what's going on with the town, and we decide what business to convey. And well, she's missed a couple meetings. One meeting, fine, but two, she's so punctual. Not twice in a row, not for no reason. And then this morning, I rode out to meet her, our second meeting. And as I was riding back, I looked back and I saw the tribe's signal of distress. It was a red smoke coming up from the battlements.
I see, of the Bumblebrasher tribe.
Yes.
Is it a cave system? Is it?
No, they live in the old fort up on Hell Knight Hill.
The old fort, okay.
Yes, the Hell Knights left it. It was just sitting there, no one was doing anything.
So, what about that when she mentions Hell Knight Hill? Would Fawin, what do you think? Does Fawin know anything? Does she...
Roll me a society check, maybe?
Okay. So, hearing her mention the Hell Knights, Fawin's going to roll a society check with a modified 16 again.
Yep. Boddy's listening to. He's in roll 2. Oh, yeah. Modified 23.
So, Fawin,
yes,
Hell Knight Hill, you're not entirely familiar with that? There was a citadel out here someplace, but you don't remember one named Hell Knight Hill. Though there used to be Hell Knights out here. The Empire has had to tactically reposition some of its military resources in order to maximize protection for its citizens, i.e. some provinces were deemed not worth keeping an eye on. With your 23, Boddy, now you were a mercenary for a bit, was it?
Boddy's bounced around to try to find. He's hiding from his old Hobgoblin tribe. Basically, he doesn't want to be involved in the wars.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after the wars, there were a lot of Hobgoblins who picked up mercenary work. So I'm assuming you're from one of those.
Not really. Boddy's he's trying to lay low amongst the population. He was a medic before he escaped his military group.
We've been avoiding those bands.
Boddy made some enemies, or one specific big enemy, and
Somebody went AWOL.
he doesn't want to be a part of the Goblin Society, Hobgoblin Society, which is just cutthroat, climbing the ladder, and he's seen the meat grinder that creates. He wants no part of it, and so since he has abandoned his duty, he has tried to find work in different settlements, traveling Isger, and just staying off the radar, keeping a low profile. And so fighting is not something he plies his trade at very often. He works as like a farm hand, a medic now and then, and just tries to stay away from battle and keep a low profile. But he does know quite a bit about the society of Isger and the history of the Goblin Wars and the goblins and Goblin tribes and stuff like that.
Well, then you will know that in this region there used to be a very important Hell Knight fortress known as Citadel Alterin.
Okay.
Which was somewhere in this region. It was supposed to be up on a high ridge near a town, which certainly fits this. It was a Hell Knight citadel. It had been abandoned about 8-10 years ago when the Empire started having problems with breakaway provinces and they were moving people about.
Okay, so Boddy sees the confusion and the lack of recognition on Fawin's face, and he steps over to the Goblin Ambassador. He says, "Oi, you talking about the Knights of Alterin? What was in that fortress on the hill?"
Yeah, I think that's what they called it. Alterin, Alterraman. The human words all sound alike. You know what?
And your Bumblebrashers, they took this place. They lived there.
Well, it was just empty. They just left it. The stores were set and open. It looks so nice and inviting, but no, I'm thinking there's something wrong with that place.
Yeah. Maybe a big fancy castle on a hill. Nobody's there. There's a reason for it.
Yeah, I don't think it was safe.
And not just because it's infested by goblins.
Her eyes kind of brighten up like, you may be onto something. There may be something weird about that place.
So when did you see this smoke?
Oh, that was this morning when I went to go meet Hilda. She wasn't there again, second time.
And how many of your goblin folk were there?
Oh, it's the tribe. What is it? About 40 or so. And there's there's Helba and Igba and Urba and Gerba and what was the other one's name? Burba? No, there was no Burba. That was our uncle. You know
Boddy just blinks and says, "Yeah, you got a lot of Urbas, a lot of birds. You think they're still kicking?"
Well, that red smoke, we have a clay we throw in the fire, and I gave it to them to make the smoke red, and I said, if you ever have trouble, you throw that in the fire, so I will know. Less.
Fawin looks at Boddy. Do you think that's the job we'll have?
I mean, who knows? What the heroes do.
Fawin gives Boddy a little touche type of smile, like, yeah, you're right.
Well, you're adventurers, right? Right? Are you not? Yes?
I mean, I don't know. I'm no hero. Just trying to make a living.
But there are systems. Yes, that's what they call it. The humans call them systems in place. Please come with me, and hear my petition. Hear my petition before they jumped.
That diplomacy kicking in again on Fawin. She was like, yes, Ambassador, we will patiently wait and hear your petition when the council opens the door.
And you will volunteer for the services, yes. Yes. Good.
Wait now.
Good.
Is this part of the Call of Heroes? Are we going to get paid?
I believe the council pays.
I'm
I'm not sure yet. I think the doors haven't opened. I'm assuming they'll make a call and we come inside and they have some choices.
I mean, I don't mind lending a hand or nothing like that, but if we're going to miss out on an opportunity, we might have to wait for your goblin folk who've got themselves in trouble in some haunted castle.
As you're speaking, one of the guards at the gate steps forward. He takes his spear and he knocks it on the pavement stones. Hear ye, hear ye. The council of the town of Breachill puts forth the call for heroes. All who are brave, all who are worthy, come forth and hear the petition of our townsfolk in need. Provide your services. Prove your worth. And the doors to the council are opened.
There you go. See? Go on, Ambassador Goblin.
Yes, you come with me, Yeah. And she just very skitters in as quickly as she can.
Inara's been giving like a whole demonstration, kind of by the door. Left foot, right foot, stab. Left foot, right foot, stab.
She's training the children.
Awesome. It's got a whole crew of children now.
And as the door,
Child soldiers. That's a good start for her.
as the door opens, she's like, "Okay, I gotta go, but remember, stab first, ask questions later."
What is Nora part goblin? What's going on here?
She's gonna blend right in with you guys.
I love her. I love her.
Boddy looks at Fawin and kind of makes a suggestion.
Yes, please, everyone.
And she graciously motions for Boddy and Plame to enter, and Inara if she's coming.
Most of the children are ushered off by their parents, who kind of send them on home. They take them off. There's a few townspeople that go in. They seem very interested to see what's going to happen. There's a guard at the door. He says to the people coming in, "Please take a seat to the right. Please take a seat to the left. Please take a seat."
It's like kind of church setup with like pews and stuff, or
It's a big room. It's got 8 rows of pew-style seats on either side. There's a long carpet down the middle, and then on the far side is a little raised dais with a series of desks. And each desk has a little name plaque hung on the front. And there's a door behind them. There's the main double doors that you just came through, and then there's a little door off to the side. No, actually, you go down a short hallway to reach this main room. That short hallway has little like side doors here and there. Probably offices and other odds and ends.
So can we kind of just sit anywhere? Is there assigned seating? Or you just listen to the guy that...
Please take a seat to the left.
Yeah.
You guys can pretty much sit where you want.
Okay.
So Plame again tugging on Fawin's sleeve and pulls up to the very first pew.
So the one at the front or at the back?
Closest to the dais.
Oh, right up front. Okay. You plop down right next to Warble then.
Fawin follows. Yes. Follows Plame, and then as he goes to the left and sits by Warble, Fawin immediately moves to the right and sits on the other pew opposite the aisle on the
Side of the aisle.
Yes.
Takes it. So front left, front
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right.
When Boddy steps in, he takes a hard right against the back wall so we can see everyone in the room
All right.
and watches.
In that case, you're standing next to the guard who tells you to take a seat to the right.
Yep, I'll just stay next to him.
And Inara is going to walk in, kind of look around. She doesn't really want to sit down, but she's going to take a right, kind of following Boddy, and stand in the corner.
Okay, she's like over like a Kellish. She's over there squatting in the corner. Yes. All right. So you do see a couple other fellows. Like I said, there's an elf and a dwarf who come in. They seem to be chatting with themselves. They're dressed nicely, one in robes, the other in armor. And they kind of set to the right, mid section on the right. And there's several others. I don't know, there's probably 3, maybe 4 dozen townspeople have all filed in. They all seem very interested in what's going on.
Mesmer, who we haven't really talked about, it's Fawin's cat. It's Fawin's familiar.
Oh, yes.
As she sits down, Mesmer hops up into her lap, and Fawin automatically starts petting her from the head all the way down to the base of the tail and just patiently waiting.
Yeah, and he's got a stretch over there.
There you go.
He hops down.
Okay.
And he wanders off.
Where are you going?
He's just disappeared into the pews. He's looking for something. Anybody doing anything else?
Boddy's gonna make a perception check to see if if he recognizes anybody from that wasn't gathering by the heroes. Just see if there's any new faces that in the pews waiting.
All right, go for it.
Boop-a-doop. Ooh, natural 19. That'll give Boddy a perception of 22.
22?
22, yeah.
Let's see. Like I said, other than those two possible adventurers, everyone else seems to be just townsfolk, farmers, artisans, that sort of thing. It looks like they're all waiting. Wormel waiting very incessantly. You can see her leg just kind of like jerking.
Sure.
She's very anxious.
So Boddy looks to the guard that was assigning the seats. He says, "Oi, how often do y'all do this kind of thing?"
Call of Heroes? It's every month.
Right. And there aren't very many heroes. Do they typically come back from whatever you send them on?
It goes up and down from month to month. Depends on what they've been assigned to.
Right. Makes me feel a bit expendable,
Yeah, it does it now. He was like, right, nameless hero, you will be remembered for your valiant efforts. He's kind of laughing to himself. He's got one hand resting on his mace.
Boddy's ears go down and his eyes kind of narrow. He's like, yeah, typical.
Yep. All right. Anybody else doing anything? Or are you just waiting?
Yep. Sitting on the pew, legs kind of dangling down, kicking his feet back and forth because they don't reach the floor.
Yeah. You're just staring at these. You see like some clerks who come out and they're setting papers down on the 5 desks and arranging the little name plaques and making sure everything looks nice.
Could I make a perception to see where the people that I met earlier in the bar are currently sitting? 7.
7. They are in the council.
Okay, so I have no idea.
Lost them in the crowd. All right. So after a few minutes of murmuring and people talking among themselves, pointing at the adventurers, pointing at you.
Oh, yeah. The tall goblinoid.
Yeah, they're like motioning at you, and they're motioning like about the size of Plame over there, and then they hold their hands up about your height, and then back down to Plame, and they look at each other, and they like shake their heads. They're like I said, they're not hostile, but everyone just kind of keeps an eye on you wherever you go. After a few minutes, the door at the back of the dais opens, and 5 figures come through, and each takes a seat at one of the desks. They are Jorsk Hinterclaw. You can tell from the little name plaques. He's a dwarf with a big red beard. Milma N. Sindari. Greta Gardania, she's an older lady who appears to be the head of the council. She's got the nicest desk in the middle.
I'm assuming they're all human unless you say...
Yes. Trini Sprizzlegig, a gnome. Bright pink hair, all up... sticking straight up, and Quintino Passandi. Milma, Greta, and Quintino are all humans. Jorsk is a dwarf. Trini is a gnome. So the 5 of them all sit down. The older lady, Greta Gardenia, she brings the meeting to order with a sharp rasp of her gavel on the desk. She's a stern, dark-haired woman with a deeply furrowed forehead, but kind eyes. Welcome, neighbors and friends, dark-haired woman begins, her rich voice washing over the room. Welcome to the Breachill Town Council's monthly call of heroes. I am Council President Greta Gardania, at your service. On behalf of my colleagues beside me, I promise you all that we will hear and consider every petition from our towns members with the utmost discretion and care. There is no existence without community, as our town charter says. Today, our agenda includes 1 petition from she checks her notes, Miss Warble, our very own ambassador with the Bumble Brashers up on Hell Knight Hill, who has requested the help of heroes for matters of utmost importance. And the dwarf breaks in, wait. We got to do this right. Read the minutes of the last meeting. And everyone stops and turns and looks over to the gnome. Digs through her papers. Minute 1. Minute 2. Minute 3. Dwarf says, stop reading the stupid minutes. Actually write down what we're doing. Minute 4, I say, make me. Minute 5, why do we even bother with this? Who put the gnome in charge of keeping track? Minute 6. Right. Sorry I brought it up. Just carry on. Yes, she's just pulling out the bridge of her notes. Thank you for that insightful reading of the minutes. Today our agenda includes one petition, Miss Warble. We will hear from her now. At the summons, Warble emerges from the front row of benches. She walks up and she's sort of walking back and forth a little bit nervously as she's talking. Her robe kind of floating around her. Fawin's familiar, Mesmer the black cat, intent on capturing the end of her robe.
Mesmer, what? Mesmer, get back this cat.
Warble begins. Esteemed counselors, she says, with an afraid tone to her voice, it has been more than a month, 2 weeks, but it's been a while since I have been able to contact the Bumble Brashers, and I fear something terrible has befallen them. What's more, I have seen my people's distress signal coming from the top of Citadel Alterin. Before the goblin can continue her petition, the door on the western side of the room flies open. A young man, his eyes wide with panic, comes walking into the room and hits his knees. It's on fire! It's on fire! We're all gonna burn! Smoke billows out behind him.
Wayfinder Legends is a production of Red Dirt RPG LLC, and all original characters and artwork are the property of their respective creators. The Age of Ashes Adventure Path was originally produced by Paizo Publishing, and all Paizo titles, characters, and artwork are used with respect under the guidelines of the OGL and ORC gaming licenses. If you like what you've heard, join the party at patreon.com, RedDirtD&D. You'll get additional content, Discord access, quarterly gifts, and more. Join the party at patreon.com/RedDirtD&D.
That's awesome. And so we cut it here?
Sure.
All right. It's all gonna burn. You want to see what's burning? Come back next week.
There's a fire.
See what we're cooking.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Awesome.
Sweet Jesus, there's a fire.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really great sandwich.
Nice.
That was a great cliffhanger.
Thank you. That worked out perfectly.